It's 7 p.m., April 9th, 2026, and I'd like to welcome everyone in the room and those who are participating online as I call to order this meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. We value everyone's input and have made sure to dedicate a portion of this meeting to hear from you. In case you missed it, there's a sign-in sheet up by the door for anybody who's wishing to speak tonight, and we look forward to your comments during that time as it's indicated on our agenda. Mr. Gott, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Dawn?
Here.
Mr. Kinsey?
Present.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Dr. Pryor?
Present.
5 present.
All right, we have a quorum. If you're able, will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see the pick a flag. Pick a flag. Here we go. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we're going to hear our first report to the board tonight. We'd like to welcome Evan Hughes. Thanks so much for being here.
My presentation is going to be about our Chromebook purchase for this school year for the next 4 years. So a little background, the current Chromebooks that we have in the district were purchased through a federal grant in fiscal year 21-22, approximately $800,000. The current fleet, the battery performance has been declining. The devices are showing physical wear. We've noticed a lot of hardware-related Wi-Fi issues with the current fleet. And there's a list that Google creates and manages. That's their end of life for auto updates. And these are currently nearing that end of update. Oh, it's not showing. Do you have it? I do. Should auto switch. There we go. That's what I was talking about. So, we were on the last part. So they're nearing that end of update. So security updates and mainly security updates, but there's also quality of life updates that will be missed. Our request is for the approximately 3,320 devices that will be being replaced. It'll cover the whole district-wide replacement, and administration is requesting up to $1.5 million for that, for students and staff. Yes. So the district impact for this, for specifically the student device replacement, it's going to maintain reliable student access to instructional technology. With the Wi-Fi related issues, there's been issues with connection during class that causes some interruption, and this will resolve those issues. It's going to reduce downtime for if a student, something happens to be wrong with the Chromebook, they have to come down to the library, come down to the tech office to get it repaired. These new ones will mitigate that. And with this, it'll keep us on a sustainable replacement cycle from how we had it last purchase. 4 years from now, we'll come back through that. But this will last us the whole 4 years. And then we will be adding a student technology fee, $40, which will supplement repair costs for Chromebook parts, because that's all a whole separate line item, you could say, for just any breaks or anything wrong with it. They do have a warranty which will cover any manufacturer-related issues to the Chromebook, not like a student dropping it. That wouldn't be covered. But, other than that, that's pretty much it.
If I can just add a few things.
Yes.
Again, just, so we've had one-to-one technology with our students since at least 2015, and obviously computers have been around in our classrooms for a very long time, so they really have become an integral part of how we do school. And so, textbooks, as we think of textbooks, a physical thing, that is, much less, or a thing of the past, or much less an option with our textbook companies. It's a lot of digital access that allows students also then obviously to be able to access that material, a wider variety of materials, plus also we have programs such as IXL, if probably some students here or know about that, as we take our MAP test 3 times a year. The area that maybe needs a little bit more attention, that is automatically updated for the student, and they're able to work on those particular areas that they need a little bit more help in. We actually, when we were one-to-one during COVID, if we can remember back to those days, that having one-to-one technology and us using our one-to-one technology at that point really allowed us to quickly pivot and provide online schooling for our students really within about a week. I'm not sure if the students were thrilled with how quick we were done with the turnaround of the online learning, but we were able to quickly turn that around, and then able the next year to really offer hybrid learning and have it a little bit more effectively to do the hybrid learning and the online learning. So that really was an important piece. State testing, all of our state testing is online. And so again, students need to have those digital skills, not just flipping through social media and those kind of things, but to actually be using a device for schoolwork, for instructional purposes, for learning purposes. Again, I know there's some conversation out there about screen time. I would argue that there's some differences in screen time of YouTube videos, gaming, and social media. Scrolling through that is much different than using your computer for research, writing a paper, accessing a textbook. Much more, not just looking at a screen and just kind of being dazed after that screen. If you gaming, social media, and YouTube videos or videos out there of actually using it for instructional purposes. We are putting that $40 annual fee. That's a subsidized. It costs more than that for our computer devices, but that's kind of a subsidy there. Putting it in grades 5 to 12 because those students take their devices home, so they're going to get a little bit more wear and tear on them. Even though we do have devices that are a lot more rugged than what you would purchase for your own, maybe for at home. School devices are much more rugged just because they have to go back and forth from home to school. So those are just pieces that really, and this is a planned purchase of us updating our Chromebooks. Luckily, last time we got an $800,000 grant from the federal government during COVID times, and that paid for our last purchase of that cycle. Fortunately or unfortunately, financially, unfortunately, there's none of those grants out there for us to be able to access those technology funds for those purposes. So just want to add a little bit more to the presentation.
So quick question. So obviously, if we're buying some 3,000, we're giving up some 3,000. So is there any recoupment costs? Are we able to sell those off and recoup some of the value, even if they're worth $100? That's not an insignificant amount of money. That's
Yeah.
330,000 or whatever right there. So
Yeah.
is there anything like that or?
Yeah, we are currently talking with a recycler. For one part of the fleet, they will be giving us a little bit back, not the full device cost, obviously because of age. Usually, the recyclers would give about like $10 a device, which it's really nothing, but it is a pretty nice amount. But yeah, we work with recyclers that's going to take the whole fleet, give us a little bit back.
Yeah, $5 or $10 isn't very much at all.
Yeah.
But it's off the wall idea. But is it possible? Is it to offer those up for purchase? I mean, I don't know if they're suitable. I don't know if they're configured in such a way that they have like a unique configuration for the school system and things like that that would limit them. But just a thought, if you could get somebody to buy those locally, if some kid wants or parents want them for their kids or whatever for $50 or $100 or whatever,
Yeah.
rather than just $5 or $10. I don't know. Just a wild thought. So.
We haven't discussed that fully yet, but I would not be opposed to discussing that with administration. So
Yep, we can look into that.
yeah.
So were all these purchased at the same time pretty much? And like every 4 years they all need replaced? Is that like the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not like the buses where we replace a few at a time. You just want them all so they're all on the same,
Well, fortunately, unfortunately, since
Yeah.
we got the grant last time,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of are stuck in that cycle
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit. We
yeah.
hope to stretch to 5 years. We were hoping to
Yeah.
stretch to 5 years. That's ideal. But the devices really weren't holding up
Yeah.
like we wanted them to, and so that's why we're kind of a year early. But we would really like to be through year 5, ideally.
Do some seem to be better than others now? Like maybe I like Kevin's idea of some are, well, these are pretty decent, decent. A parent might want one for home, that they buy. I don't know.
Yeah, we have noticed with some of the fleet there is a good portion of them that are higher quality than others, depending on the care of the student that had it. But yeah, I'm open to discuss that with our team.
Maybe some of the computers that are in better shape,
Yeah.
they don't go back.
They get
Right.
dropped.
They might get dropped.
Talk about it a little bit more later on. Thanks for the information.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. All right, we're moving it on to treasurer.
Okay. My first recommendation is approval of minutes for the March 12th board meeting.
So moved. Second.
Dr. Pryor moved, Mrs. Anderson seconded. Questions or corrections on those? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
5 yeses. My second recommendation is approval of March 2026 financial statements.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Moore.
So basically, at this time, 75% of the fiscal year is over. Our revenues, the big one is property taxes. We're almost 99% on them because a Greene County tax settlement came in. So we have collected all the taxes from Greene County for this year. So that's all we'll get. We'll get some small portion from Warren County. We're not going to collect as much in property taxes this year as we estimated. And portion of it could be because of the tax reform happening at the state. School districts who are at 20 mil, they'll get a tax credit on August settlement. We're not on 20 mil flow, so our taxpayers are not going to get anything. But there were some county auditors who were saying, hey, don't pay upfront. Like if you're paying all of your property taxes in February, don't do that, because we won't give you a credit if you do that. So I think that might be a factor why we are not going to collect all of it. And there's always delinquencies. There are always some delinquencies. The state State and federal assistance is only at 57% right now, and that's because we are going to get homestead and rollback from the state of Ohio in about May-ish time frame. So that's why it's low. The expenditures are in line from where they should be right now, so we're doing good.
All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
My third recommendation is approval of permanent appropriations.
So moved. Second.
I think I heard Mrs. Dorn and then Mrs. Anderson.
So we are requesting $1.3 million increase in permanent appropriations. $1 million is for the purchase of Chromebooks and other equipment that Mr. Heath just went over. And $300,000 is for the athletic department because they need some more extra funds to end the year. Everything else is the grants. State of Ohio gave us our final allocations, and some of them decreased and some of them increased by a small fraction.
So if 1 million's for the Chromebooks, and they need 1.5,
We had some extra funds because the appropriations are approved by fund level. So in our Fund 70, which also includes HVAC work, and then it also included school bus purchase. We're not going to spend that much in those. We have $500,000 from not spending that much for the HVAC. So we only need an extra $1 million, and then $500,000 will come from the HVAC.
So we had savings in other areas?
Yeah, we
accounting
saved in
for
one,
that.
but we'll spend over here.
and is there anything particular in the athletic department?
What's the athletics? 300,000?
Their expenditures are just a bit high. We are going to meet with them and discuss and go over all the expenditures.
Can we afford this?
Okay, sorry.
Did you say yes or no?
Okay. Ready for me?
Yeah, I mean, so the Chromebooks were a part of when we were transferring money over to that particular pod. It was HVAC, and BCI and Stephen Bell are on track to get their updates this summer, and then high school just finished, so their chiller just finished, so they're going to be up and running if it gets warm in April or May here. They're up and running, and then the buses and then the technology was the other piece of that money kind of being set aside. So again, it's maybe a little earlier we were hoping to get 5 years from our computers. It's a little earlier on that piece, but those funds were there in order to be able to have those big purchases. And I know when we see those big purchases, you know, when you buy your own computer, you can buy your own one HVAC. It's expensive, but it's not as expensive as buying 3,300. And so those numbers just look big, just because we're buying for all of our students, and then trying to HVAC systems for an entire school rather than just your house. So these were quote planned purchases.
And the athletics, we made sure like it's not more than what we expected to receive in the athletic fund. So it's not like they'll be spending more than the cash they'll have. So
That was
we
going
should
to be my
able to-
question. Usually athletics, other than a few separate things, athletics funds itself through
And they should be
gate
able to.
fees and whatnot,
Yeah,
so.
based on like what they had from last year and this year's estimated receipts, they should be able to fund themselves this year.
Yeah, I mean, historically, the district has, through coaching stipends and so forth, subsidizes the athletic department through those coaching stipends or maybe other kind of things. Again, their costs have gone up. Electricity, through their budget is electricity on the stadium and so forth. Transportation, out of their budget, they pay for transportation. Those costs have gone up. And so that's why we're going to meet with them and try to figure out long-term, how do we sustain this? They only get a portion of the athletic fee. They don't get the whole $300 to $200. The district kind of takes a piece of that. So we're gonna take a closer look and see as we go forward there. Yeah.
In case anybody's wondering, it's not, as a reminder, we're not spending all of this right now. This is just allocating to put into the right bucket to be earmarked for things that we know is coming. So it's not like we're just spending this right now. Any other questions? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn.
Yes.
5 yeses. My next recommendation is approval of a 1099 certificate in the amount of $4,000.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson.
So this is for Christine Tiemann. It's for high school ACT prep classes. We did not have a PO in place when the services were provided.
It's a very useful class.
Got anything on this one? No. All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
5 yeses. My next recommendation is approval of central office salary scale.
So moved.
Second?
Dr. Pryor and then Mrs. Anderson.
This salary scale, the only change is there's an addition for the SSO. That will be a new position that was approved by the board. So this adds a salary schedule for that. Everything else is the same. And it's for next year, 2027.
Yep, so we had a past couple meetings, we've had a first and second read of that job description. Now for this is the salary schedule for that school security officer. And again, like Mr. Godham said, this is for the 26-27 school year. Later on in the meeting is an agreement with the township that we can further discuss the particulars of that. But so that's one piece of it.
But the salary's offset by what the township was supposed to be giving us in a second SRO.
It's pretty
Pretty
close.
close. I mean,
because
fairly
it
close.
depends on the benefits.
Right.
The benefits are on top of that,
Right.
so it may be a little bit more.
But it's fairly
It's
close.
really in the range there. It's
Okay.
really close. Yep. It's in that range.
Well, I assume who we hire and where they
Right,
fall on.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely right around that range.
Okay.
Yep.
Please call the vote.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
5 yeses. My next recommendation and last recommendation is approval of a quick claim deed and declaration of easement.
So moved.
Second?
Dr. Pryor, seconded by Mrs. Anderson.
So this resolution is for the sale of Sugar Creek Elementary. This is one step closer to the sale. It's for the lot split. So there's 2 quick claim deeds for 2 lots, and then there is a quit claim deed. Declaration of easement. The board authorizes the superintendent, the board president, and I to sign once it's approved.
Yeah, so this essentially separates the Sugar Creek Elementary property into just the one story and just a little bit of land in the back there for the elementary, and then the second lot is the rest of the property, including the 3-story and the other buildings. So this allows us to then work with the ESC on the purchase of that 1-story, and then work with the city and so forth with the agreement on the rest of that property down there.
Ready?
Questions? Good? All right, let's call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Anything else for you, sir?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have correspondence that they want to share with the rest of the board that they received?
I do. I'll try to be fast because we want to get to good news. But I got an email from one of our high school students who is concerned because she says she's not getting the physical education waiver she thought she was going to get. She has been part of the wrestling team for 3 seasons, but she's been a statistician, not an athlete. But she goes to practices, she goes to the meets, and does a ton of work for the coaches. So anyway, I was just wondering, Dr. Kozad, have we been giving PE waivers for wrestling statisticians?
I don't believe so. I think Mr. Han has already dealt with this
Okay.
situation. I don't think that qualifies under the waiver piece, but I would have to ultimately confirm that with him. But I don't think that, quote, qualifies for a waiver. But I would have to double check with Mr. Han. But I thought Mr. Han had already dealt with that situation.
Well, this girl said she's met with Mr. Han, and
Okay.
he was not able to tell her why a girl last year who graduated, she says, got the waiver. I talked to this girl. She's a girl who graduated last year who said she got a PE waiver for being a wrestling stat girl, and the coach did tell her that she'd get it. And so I feel like, it might have been something that's happening. I'm not sure. I just hoped you'd look into it. And also, I wanted to give the boards a heads up because we do have a policy about PE waivers, 4560, and the handbook we're going to vote on in 2 weeks will have a section on PE waivers. So I think it's important that we clarify this gray area if, these wrestling, these positions on teams like team manager or something that's not an athlete, do they or do they not get PE waivers? Let's write it in the handbook. And, totally fine with me what the administration wants to do about that. But, if there are students who, have gotten it before and have been doing it under the promise that they're going to get a PE waiver, I think we should grandfather those students in. But anyway, that'll come up at the meeting when we discuss the handbook. But I just wanted it to be on your radar because, we need to make sure our policies are very clear so people understand and very fair. So maybe you could look into that because I did talk to the girl who graduated last year who said she got a PE waiver for being a stat girl. So
I will check into that. I
Okay.
don't want to necessarily discuss details in public
Right,
on those
right.
situations, but I will look into that.
thanks.
Okay, yep, I'll get back to you.
Anybody else?
I actually have one more thing, but I can wait till the end. One more correspondence.
I did get a couple emails from parents that were concerned about athletes who were all of a sudden ineligible. And I noticed we had talked about it a couple years ago and just making sure that that loop had been closed as far as making sure that athletes are always registered for enough credits so there's no surprises. I can forward it to you if you didn't get it.
Nope, I'm
Okay.
unaware of that.
Okay, I'd be happy to forward it to you then.
Situation. So, again, I don't know the particulars of that situation,
Mm-hmm.
but at the beginning of every season, students have to go through or a handbook, an athletic handbook, and it's very clear in that handbook and in our other handbook that you have to take five
Perfect.
credit hours. And
Perfect.
so
Okay.
that's kind of that partnership of responsibility.
Right, of
Ultimately,
course.
it falls to the student and the family. We try to do our best and try to and catch those kind of
Of
things.
course.
We definitely wouldn't want anybody
Right, no surprises.
to fall into that.
Right,
But if you
okay.
can forward me any
Sure,
information, I'm
of course.
not aware
Sure,
of that situation.
okay. I just wanted to make sure we had closed that, that there is follow-up, so
Yep.
if there is, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Anybody else? All right. We will now move into our good news recognition. Thank you for your patience. We tried to get to this at the beginning of the meeting, but we had more boring stuff to do. Sorry. Get to honor quite a few folks, some student athletes, some students that are doing amazing things for people helping out the schools. We would first like to recognize the 2026 competition sponsored by Sodexo, Eliza Hyman.
You want to tell them what your dish was?
What'd you make?
Spicy peanut butter and jelly croissants.
Sounds good. Spicy peanut butter and jelly croissants. Mom,
Very
do we like those?
They were very good. It was a risk.
Oh, we don't have anything like that?
Yeah, we didn't have 30 sports this evening.
All right, a lot of student athletes to recognize. First, for being 2026 All-State in girls basketball, Lauren Fabric.
Thank you to my coaches and my family, and my friends and teammates for supporting me.
Right. OHSAA State Swim Qualifier, Michelle Dean. Yeah, nobody's pressured. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. If you want to, feel free. Another state swim qualifier, Nolan Dean. Yet another state swim qualifier, Lillian Gaskell. State swim qualifier, Lucas Henley. All right. State swim qualifier, Ross Melton. Another state swim qualifier, Luke Snyder.
I would like to give a few shout outs. I'd like to shout out my mom over there. She's very supportive. Coach Rod, he's pretty awesome. Camilla Bizzuto, and Eli Vaughter.
It takes a village. State swim qualifier, Elijah Vaughter. Eli. All right, a couple special awards. This is the 2026 Friends of Athletics Award recipient. I know somebody who's put in a lot of energy, a lot of passion into to helping our athletes succeed. So we'd like to honor tonight Ronnie Tyree. All right. And last but not least, our 2026 OHS Basketball Coaches Association Division III Coach of the Year, our own Jason Tincher.
I just would like to thank the board. Thank you for the recognition, Dr. Kozad. Thank you very much, and congratulate all the other good news recipients. That's awesome. Great job. I'd like to thank my family for being here. My dad, my 92-year-old dad, goes to every game. He's over here with Mary, and my wife Stacy, and my daughter Brooke, and my sister and brother-in-law made it back there. Thanks. Thank you.
All right, we have one more piece of good news. If people need to leave now, it's totally fine, but we'll break after this as well. But Dr. Koza.
Yep, so we have a letter from Steve Dakin, who is the Director of Department of Education and Workforce. So his letter reads, on behalf of Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, I'm pleased to congratulate Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Local School District for earning the overall 5-star award for the 2024-2025 Ohio School Report Card. This remarkable accomplishment highlights the district's commitment to advancing academic achievement and supporting student success. The overall 5-star award recognizes those who consistently give their all to creating an engaging learning environment that fosters growth, collaboration, and success. I commend you and your team for your dedication providing students with the tools they need to excel academically and personally. Your work will have a lasting impact on the lives of your students. Once again, congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. I hope this award serves as a source of pride and accomplishment for your community and will continue to inspire success in the years ahead. So, again, this is from Steve Dakin, who's the Director of the Department of Education and Workforce. And as I've said before, this is definitely a team effort among everybody. That obviously includes the students, the staff, parents, community members, administration, school board, just everybody pulling together to doing amazing things academically in the classroom, which this really highlights. But also we excel in other things. And actually the two boards up here, those are called the quality profile. Those are all, there's academics on there, but those are all the other great things that our students and staff do to make for a well-rounded experience for our students and really help them succeed going off to college, careers, workforce, in any endeavor that they entail after high school. So again, here's a banner that we'll proudly hang up, and we appreciate everything that everybody's done. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's our good news for tonight. Again, if
A lot of
anybody
good
needs
news.
to take off, we're not going to have any hard feelings. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for at least staying for my part. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, sir. We will move into our open communication period, which we did not have anybody sign up for tonight. So we'll look forward to your comments at our next meeting. And that takes us to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So 7A and B, 7A certificated license employment, resignation leave of absence, supplemental duty, and then 7B, which is support staff employment, resignation leave of absence. And this is a consent agenda for 7C.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Mrs. Anderson.
So again, a few supplementals on here, but a few resignations. Most of them are at the end of this school year, so as we're trying to get ready for next school, it's pretty typical at this point in the year to have some resignations effective at the end of the school year.
All right, please call the vote.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, thank you. So MOU with Sugar Creek Township School Safety, so recommend approval of the memorandum of understanding with Sugar Creek Township for school safety officer, school resource officer services effective immediately through June 30th, 2029.
So moved?
Second.
Dr. Pryor and then Mrs. Anderson.
So again, as I somewhat mentioned earlier, so this is, at a couple meetings ago, we updated an 3-year SRO agreement with the city of Bellbrook through the 2029 school year. And so this is a similar MOU, but this is with Sugar Creek Township. Again, obviously with Bellbrook, they provide an SRO for Bell Creek Intermediate and Stephen Bell, split between the two. And this is with Sugar Creek Township. They service both the middle school and the high school. But one unique piece with this MOU is, so the board and the district has wanted to have an SRO at both the middle school and the high school, and the township is having a difficult time finding staffing to be able to staff not only their regular staffing needs, but then also an SRO, an additional SRO. So we came up with something maybe a little unique, that if they're able to provide 2 SROs for us, that's a preferred option. But at some point here, that I think it's just passed with April, that they are unable to provide an SRO or 2 SROs to us. 2 SROs are at 50% of the cost. If they can provide only 1, they will pay 100% the cost of 1 SRO, and then we will take the cost that we didn't pay for that second SRO, and we will hire our own school safety officer. So like I said a couple of meetings ago, that we had updated that job description today. Board approved the compensation piece for that. So that is for the 26-27 school year. So that school safety officer would be here at the middle school, and then the SRO would be at the high school. The school safety officer, the kind of person that we're looking for that's in that job description is a former police officer, but preferably also a former SRO would be preferred, not required, but preferred. And so we plan to post that position probably as soon as next week is kind of the target date to post that, in order to have somebody on staff for the 26-27 school year here at the middle school. I don't know if there's additional questions, comments about that.
All right, if not, it's moved by Dr. Pryor, seconded by Mrs. Anderson, the MOU with the township. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
5 yeses.
Next here is second read of the draft policy revisions, replacement, and additions. Recommend approval of draft changes to board policy revision, replacement, additions. Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Pryor and then Mrs. Dorn.
So again, Mrs. Dorn and I meet with Neola, who does our services for drafting policies. And so we had a first read at last meeting. This is the second read for approval. And a lot of this is transportation pieces, but also financial policies.
Question?
I have, a question like the AI one. That's really, I'm not by any means trying to drive a policy consideration here at all from the board, but just out of curiosity mostly, how our teachers are, dealing with that effectively, because I think it's a great challenge. For example, a month ago I said to an AI tool, generate me a 10-page paper on the perspective of the colonists just prior to the Revolutionary War, introduce grammar and spelling errors, and within 15 seconds I had that. So the idea being that I as a student could submit that, and it's got, some run-on sentences, it's got, some misspelled words, some grammar inaccuracies, but yet I did my homework assignment in 15 seconds, So I'm just kind of curious, and truly just out of curiosity, how our teachers are handling that, because, if you go back to old school, there's a piece of paper and a pen, start writing, that'll fix it. But at the same time, it's a tremendous tool for learning and enabling, and, it's just, we all use it to some degree. It seems increasingly here in the last year or two or whatever, and I do it at work, I do it here at home or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious, it's just, I think we're in an interesting time right now, so.
Yeah, so this has been a topic of professional development sessions. We actually just talked about this last Friday during a professional development session. We've had experts, professional development folks come in and/or via webinar to talk to our staff. So it is a continued challenge. It really is, in trying to stay ahead of technology. And so our teachers are working to put those things into play and to ultimately determine, and through, it's not this policy, but a policy was already approved by the board of allowing our staff to be able to have some autonomy and some power of whether they want to allow AI use or how to allow AI use in our classrooms. And so for the paper piece, the key pieces to that of what our teachers do is there's the process of writing the paper. It's just not, there's drafts and revisions, and it's just not, don't talk to me about your paper until it's due, and then all of a sudden it's due. There's these multiple drafts, and to be able to see those revisions and see those thoughts, and those teachers know kind of what what the student's writing looks like. And so it is a continued challenge, but it's those pre-writing pieces, it's those other pieces that really challenges our educators to kind of think through and try to AI-proof problems or solutions or assignments. And so our staff is working on it. Like I said, we have a lot of PD on it, but it's a continued challenge because it is hard to stay ahead of this one. This is really a very unique one, but it also can be a very useful tool, if you're not very good at grammar or very good at tenses or those things. I write my paper out and I ask AI, hey, check my tense, check this, and it's a useful tool. It's not writing my paper for me, but it's but a thing giving feedback. So we're trying to stay ahead of it. We're trying to educate our staff, but it is a continued challenge and will continue to be a challenge.
You can also have some fun with it. Like at work one time, Audrey, you'll probably appreciate this. I was told I had to have 5 bullet statements to justify a certain thing. It was nonsense. 3 more than handled it, and they wanted 5. I'm like, okay. So this is before we had the really advanced AI like we had right now. There was a tool that was developed by some MIT students where they literally were generating nonsense papers and then going and getting accepted in to present them at symposiums and things like that. So they wrote this tool. This is 10, 12, 15 years ago. And so I decided to have some fun. So those a little bit dated myself here, but anybody know who Barney Fife is? So Barney Fife became the author of this paper that I input, and I took some choice sentences out of that, and I put that in the justification that went back to the Pentagon, and guess what? They accepted it. So, and it was complete nonsense. It said nothing, but they took it. So you can have some fun with it too.
We're not asserting you should do it in that way.
No. But you can.
I wouldn't recommend Barney Fife writing your paper
Yeah,
or not in his voice.
Barney Fife.
Yeah.
Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
1950s or whatever it was, 1960s.
The policy we're talking about here, though, there's 2 kind of separate ones that address AI. One talks about academic integrity and truly using it, and then this one has more of a disciplinary flair when you talk about improperly using AI. We worried about things like cyberbullying before. You get a bad picture of someone, it spreads. Well, now you can just make a bad picture of someone, and it's not even them, but so this addresses those concerns.
Yeah, it just got me thinking in general about AI. Just generated a paper just 2 months ago, and it's like, my gosh, this is, you do it on the way to school, here you go,
And there's a lot of great uses for it, and then there's a lot of not so great uses for it, or academic dishonesty uses for it.
Yeah.
There are AI detection tools out there.
They are not good. They're not good. They're not good at all. They're not good. They don't get it.
It's here to
Well,
stay. So
and I think the
we have
hard
to-
part is if we're teaching kids like, okay, use it as a tool, they're not going to be able to use it as a tool when they go to take their state test, so they're going to have to still know these skills. So, but I do appreciate that it's all focused on keeping the people at the core and making sure that it's human-centered. So I do appreciate that.
And if I may interject, I think, and Mr. Heath can verify, what we're doing is we're going to only allow Gemini on our Chromebooks. And how Gemini works is it won't write a paper for you.
Okay.
It will give you, like if a student says, hey, can you write me a paper about the Revolutionary War? It says, hey, it will give ideas. It will say, hey, you can look at this, or you can talk about this. But it will never write a paper. And we are going to block the other AI tools on our Chromebooks. So students won't be able to use the Chromebook to write a paper.
Good.
Any policies? I had a question about 4162.
Say that again, which one?
4162, and well, and I guess it goes with 4162.01. Just the blood alcohol levels, is that dictated by is that a Neola thing that sets those?
Which part are you
Yeah,
talking
which-
about specifically?
4162 talks about the blood alcohol level being point.
01 or just?
It's point, it says .04.
No, 4162 or 4162.01?
They both are, they go hand in hand, one's CDL
Right.
and one is non-CDL, but they're still all transporting kids.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering who dictates that blood alcohol level for our district? If that's.
So if I remember correctly, and this has
Yep.
gone back a hot minute when we had
Yep.
this original conversation, most of the changes to this policy are driven by either state law or in places where it's kind of relaxing the standard, and that doesn't feel good to relax the standard about blood alcohol
Yeah.
and bus drivers.
Yeah.
It's relaxing it to, in places where it used to be 0, and it's giving a little bit of a buffer because what they were seeing or what can be seen is someone who has a drink, especially someone like, someone Annie's size has a drink last night and then the next morning is at a very, very low, but it was at 0. And 0 can mean your a little bit more than 0 can mean I used Listerine in the morning and you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Cough
it was,
syrup.
yeah, it was giving a little bit of a buffer just because there are alcohols in things that we consume, or especially for, as it was presented to us, very small, petite, especially women. Sometimes it can take a very long time for them to get to a true 0.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
I hope I did that justice, officer.
Anything else? All right, please call the vote.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, C, 2026 Summer Athletic Camps. Recommend approval of the following 2026 Summer Athletic Camps: high school boys lacrosse and boys basketball.
So moved?
Second.
Mrs. Anderson, then Mrs. Dorn. Questions? All right, please call the roll.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Recommend approval of 2026-2027 student fees for grades pre-K to 12.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson.
Again, the biggest changes on here are the Chromebook fees for grades 5 through 12, $40. Again, that's to subsidize the purchase of those Chromebooks. And so people will see an increase on that because since we received a grant last time, we were not charging a student fee for those because we got them, quote, for free, so we were not going to charge a fee for that. However, we are now buying those, and so that's why there's an increase of $40 in grades 5 to 12.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Right. Recommend approval or acceptance of the following donations with gratitude.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Dr. Pryor.
So cash donations of $1,200 from Shane and Angela Henderson for the middle school baseball field maintenance, and cash donation of $1,000 from Edward and Amy Clack for the BCIR department.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So kind. Thank you.
Please call the roll on acceptance with gratitude.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Thank you again. Eric?
Okay, the next two are just drafts, so first reads for draft day of the school calendar for the 2027-2028 school year. Next year's calendar is already approved last year. So again, there's, with the parameters that are put in place, there's really not a lot of options, possibilities, and really that is to end the first semester by winter break, have a 2-week or so winter break, have a week of spring break, and so within those parameters, we're kind of, I would say, stuck with kind of the schedule that we have right now. So there's small parameters, small little changes that we can do and tweaks. This is of the two options that were provided to the SEA, this is the one that received the most votes from SEA. So, any thoughts or comments? But I will put this back on for the next.
I think it looks fantastic. We finally have the Monday off after Easter. I've been begging for that for years. We can go out of town. Keep asking for that. Friday and Monday. I don't know how you pulled it off. There was never a day to do it before, and somehow you made it.
Yeah, somehow it worked out with this particular schedule in order for that to happen. So,
Well,
yep.
that's great. People can go out of town for Easter.
Yep.
Except the teachers, it's a staff PD day.
For Monday, yeah. Okay.
Anything else, sir?
Nope, not for that one. And then the other one is a draft job description for student communications intern. As we're looking to do some website work over the summer, these are essentially some temporary summer workers and trying to provide some opportunities for our students that can help out in that particular area. So this is the first draft of that, first read, and then we'll put it back on that and the calendar at the next board meeting for final approval.
I think that's a great opportunity for some of our students.
Yep.
Anything else?
Yep.
On the table?
I do have one other correspondence I was going to share, but I didn't want to take any longer with before. So a mom emailed me yesterday, and she's concerned about our STEM honors diploma criteria. And in our handbook, it says 5 units of mathematics and 5 units of science, which makes sense, it's STEM. But if you look at the revised code 3301-16.02, it just says for the STEM honors diploma that it's at least 4 units of mathematics, but it says at least 4. And it also says the school district shall not add nor delete from these paragraphs, from these requirements. So I just found it very confusing, and this, so I emailed the Department of Education, and they responded that we can't change that to 5. But, the person I talked to might not have known what they were talking about, so I just wanted, because I know, parents are looking at the diploma stuff right now, and we're going to have to approve this in another handbook, could just double check that we're allowed to be asking for 5 units of each of those when the state says it's 4.
Okay.
Just double check that.
Okay. Did the parent talk to Mr. Hand or Mrs. Sanderman or Mrs. Scovey or Mr. Hartley?
I'm not sure, but I just, when I looked it up, and it said, 4 online, she was just pointing out that it's why, it says 4. I think she has. She talked to the counselor.
It said a minimum of 4, though, right?
Right, it says the student must have at least 4.
Okay.
And so, are we allowed to require 5, or do we? I just wasn't sure.
I don't know. I'll look into it.
It was confusing to me, so.
You able to provide any more information than that, or an email?
Sure,
or?
sure, I can. Here's the Department of Education.
Okay.
Pretty sure his name was Travis. No.
Okay. All right.
But,
Thank you.
Yeah, just,
Okay. I will look at that, and we'll, as we're looking at handbooks, handbooks are probably going to be on the next board agenda. That's the goal. If not, then it's May, but that's the goal, is to have it on the next board agenda.
Are those a first read, second read, or just
First
one?
read
Okay.
on the next board agenda would be first read, and then approval in May.
Okay.
So first read at the next one. Yep.
Anything
That's all.
else? All right, if not, does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Mrs. Anderson. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, we're adjourned.